Hey guys, Dave and Skidge here. Grab your favorite laser gun, put on your Sunday best, and get ready to follow us back down the rabbit hole. It's early evening. I'm taking a stroll down Water Street, Lower Manhattan. My thirst for Irish whiskey is slowly boiling over. I notice a bar adjacent to me. Cigarette in hand, I walk up to the front door. My attention is quickly drawn to a prestigious list of accolades. Best bar in North America, world's best cocktail menu, and the most enviable, world's best bar. The list goes on, and so do I. I slowly take my first steps through the door. As I do so, I see sawdust scattered across the floor. I look up to see the bartender. She stirs 3 cocktails with her right hand, while her left hand bills 2 more. Without skipping a beat, she greets me instantaneously. I'm told this is the pub. The pictures on the wall display the history and hardships of the journey to the top. I'm heavily swayed to test the world-renowned Irish coffee of this establishment. That's when I know tonight's going to be a good night. Where am I? I'm at the brainchild of restaurateurs Jack McGarry and Sean Muldoon, the one and only Dead Rabbit, Grocery and Grog.
We take you to a story unfolding in the heart of one of the most storied cities in the world, New York City, to an unlikely hero of an ancient tradecraft. That's right, folks. We're talking good old-fashioned bartending, a craft as infused with intrepid lore as any world explorer, and requiring the blood diamond lust of the grittiest Texas oil tycoon. You think you got what it takes to bump shoulders with the best? We're talking a full bar, 3 deep, on a Friday night in Manhattan. Everywhere you look, someone is dying for a drink. It's overwhelming. It's exhausting. It's ruthless. It's downright chaotic. You will be tested in your speed, your efficiency, your patience, your multitasking, your personality, attention to detail, and your problem-solving abilities. Guys, there is no extraction at this point. There's only you and your world-class team of bartenders to quench the thirst of this insatiable horde. Are you ready for this highly orchestrated mayhem at one of the world's best bars? Who cares? Because our guest today is more prepared than any of us, and we thank God for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Jillian Vos.
So on July 1st of 2018, we, very early in the morning, was alerted that we had a kitchen fire. And I actually was in Sydney, so I couldn't have been more far away. Luckily, Jack McGarry was here. He was in New Jersey when he got the phone call. Jumped in a car back, and there was, I'd say, maybe a dozen, if at least, fire trucks outside. People were obviously outside looking and watching, but it was very early in the morning. It was like 6 or 7 in the morning. Ooh. And luckily we had a really smart, fast thinking guy that was here, one of our porters. So we have somebody here 24 hours a day. So the bar is open till 4 a.m. and we have our porters cleaning the bars and then accepting deliveries in the morning. And luckily we had somebody that could spoke and read really good English. He knew to turn off the gas right away. He knew to call 911. He knew how to articulate what was going on. And apparently the fire department was here within 4 or 5 minutes, and we were able to, not have any insane damage. And of course, the most important thing, that nobody was hurt. So, it was July. It was a hot day. It was a hood fire. It's a very common thing that happens in kitchens. It's not it was anything negligent or anything. It was just unfortunate. And with a fire, even though it was a very small fire, I think that any person that owns or runs a bar or restaurant can attest that even a small fire can do a lot of damage, and it's because of the water damage, it's because of the smoke, and also the electrical. the gas, and then also on top of that, then there's the bureaucracies. I can't say that word right. Bureaucracies of New York City, all that red tape and all those inspections that you have to go through to get back up and running. In New York, as in most places, you have to have running hot water to be open and functional. And when your gas is turned off, even though you can actually function, you need to figure out a way to get hot water. And so we got an electrical hot water tank. And this actually happened to me at my former job at Death & Co. We had a small fire, and we were out of commission for, I think, 3 weeks before we got back up and running. Here, we kind of knew that we had to do this a lot sooner, and so to get back up and running. It was really detrimental to the bar because, you're worried. You have a lot of employees out of work for 19 days. We opened up in 19 days. If you saw this place like after the fire, you would have been like, how the heck did you do this? It was pretty incredible. I definitely would give a huge round of applause to Jack for really, really being like on top of everything, with the contractors and the electricians and the, meeting with the partners to like get all this stuff done. It was like really impressive. But also the staff that came together to get it back up and running, and to the partners for making sure that everybody was getting paid while we were closed, because so that we could retain our staff, and that we showed them that we really want them. We don't want anybody going anywhere. And if you did lose even like a handful of staff, like to hire, retrain in the midst of all this stuff would have been a huge nightmare, and the training labor costs and all that would have been a disaster. So they decided that they would pay the staff most of what they would have made in tips and their hourly, so that everybody could still pay their rent and all that. And during that time too, we actually, as a positive, took that opportunity, as we are open 7 days a week, day and night. We took that opportunity as a team to do some like team bonding. So there was a lot of outreach from friends, from regulars, and from brands, from other bars that did reach out. We didn't want to be like a charity case or anything. We are a thriving business, and we didn't want to take from anybody else in need. But we thought, okay, like if brands are going to be outreaching, let's take this time to go out to eat together. We went fishing, and had a good time, and we drank beers, and they made bottled punches for us, and we all went and caught fish together and had a great time. And another brand took us to the beach, and we made daiquiris on the beach and just hung out. And we went to Whole Foods and just got a whole spread of food, and got silly. It was so much fun. Another brand took us to one of those movie theaters that actually served food and drinks. And so we went and watched a movie. And we did this all in different neighborhoods, and we spread the love throughout different bars to actually have brands spend money in other bars with our team. So it was a lot of love, and it was obviously unfortunate that this happened, but we took the time to have some fun together. And then on top of that, we also freed ourselves up to, when we needed the staff to be here to put the pieces back together, that we were all here and to be able to do that. So it was unfortunate, but we had a fast recovery under the circumstances. But there was a lot of hard work, determination involved in it, a lot of organizing, but we did it. And we were, if it was ever going to happen, it happened kind of at the perfect time, because we were already starting our extension. And so we basically just expedited our new kitchen to be open a little bit sooner. And we did a cold food menu. So although we didn't have food, I think, for a week or two, once we did, it was a cool, we did sandwiches, we did and it was actually a full menu. It was actually quite impressive. I kind of miss those sandwiches. But it was, we did the best that we could to offer the best experience to our guests that we possibly could under what we were dealing with. And then we just expedited the kitchen to be done so that we could go back to our hot food. yeah, now that kitchen is a beast, and we have, it's a bigger kitchen. It's more efficient. I feel like the food has gone to another level with like the quality and also the storage and everything. So, yeah, I mean, we took a really shitty situation. I think we've ran with it and made it a positive. So I'm very proud of the team and the partners and the owners and what they've accomplished. So, my name's Jillian Vos. I'm the Beverage Director at the Dead Rabbit in New York City, and I'm very excited to be here today. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming, Jillian.
Welcome back to Intangible Adventures, everybody.
Folks, welcome back. We're live at the Dead Rabbit right now.
We are in, this is the new addition to the parlor, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Hell yeah. This is historical. This is legendary, dude.
Seriously. You feel like you're just walking into like a history book being
Yeah,
here.
it really is.
Whether because this city has so much history already in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And also the way that you guys have designed this concept. Is everything
I mean, the cocktail era began way back. I mean, you guys emulate cocktails from the 1800s, if I'm not correct.
Well, the bar has definitely evolved. The cocktail menus have evolved. You are correct on that 1850s vibe, because that's really when cocktails were starting to emerge in New York City. You had in this neighborhood, you'd have Jerry Thomas making drinks down the street from here on Broadway. The concept of the bar itself is basically like a mid 1850s style tavern with the sawdust on the floor, having the pub downstairs, the parlor, and the event space. That would be what would be considered a tavern in that era. You also had Irish coming over and immigrating into New York through the southern seaport that's here in downtown Manhattan. And so all these factors formed the vision of the Dead Rabbit. And the Dead Rabbits were an Irish-American street gang in the mid-1800s that actually would have been running the streets down here on Water Street and in the Five Points, which is...
Have you ever seen the movie?
Yes,
Gangs
actually.
in New York?
Yeah, Gangs in New York. So a lot of people do associate Gangs in New York in our bar. Obviously, we did not base this on a movie. It was based on an actual...
thing that occurred.
Yeah, an actual thing, which, of course... We do have the sword that Liam Neeson actually gifted us. The sword.
That's tight,
dude. Yeah, from the scene. So it's actually, we refurbished it and framed it, and it's upstairs in our...
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
all right, quick thing. I'm going to tell you how I came to...
Find out about you.
Okay, I'm interested because you haven't told me this yet.
Yeah. How we found out about you and how I actually ended up reaching out to you.
I'm nervous.
It's hilarious.
Okay,
so,
I like funny things.
Are you familiar with Grindr? I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, no.
So one night, me and my buddy, his name is Freeze, also known as Ben. We're closing down the bar where we work at, and he's really into the cocktail world. He's like really starting to
blossom as a bartender.
Reading everything.
Reading, research, going to bars to test cocktails and all this stuff.
Being a total nerd, really.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one night, we leave the bar, and he's, for weeks now, he's been talking about Dead Rabbit, and he had just gone up to Dead Rabbit probably, I think, a week before, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, you got to check out Dead Rabbit. And I'm on Instagram. We're sitting next to each other, and I'm like, who's this? And he goes, oh, that's their beverage director. That's Jillian Vos. He's like, you got to check her out. And I was like, all right. So I look it up, and I'm looking. First thing that goes, YouTube speed competitions and interviews, and I'm like really intrigued, and I'm like, okay.
This chick is a beast.
She's an artist. She's, this is a top 50 world, bar in the world.
She's a world-class
So
hitman.
I was like, all right. And
I'm blushing, guys. Jeez.
And I was stoned out of my mind. And it was like...
in Skidge's lounge, which is what he calls his car.
I'm in my car with Ben, stoned out of my mind. And I was like...
closed.
And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, you know what, dude? Fuck it. I'm going to just DM her and see if she's interested. And she did, dude. It was so cool.
He sent you that DM and he goes, dude, I did something. I was like, fuck, Skidge, what'd you do? And he shows me, and I'm like, I'm a very I like to write, so I'm very all about like grammar and stuff. I'm like, what is this that you wrote her, dude? It's riddled with grammatical errors. You didn't capitalize shit.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to run this shit by me next time you do this. And then you responded, and then I was like, I'm a chicken fucker. That's my bad.
Well, it's so funny. I think you might have caught me on a
good
so
day.
Anybody that knows me can definitely confirm that I suck at social media. Like really, really, really suck.
I'm with you on that.
And I'm okay. I've come to terms with it. Not everybody else has, but that's fine.
You still have 7,000 followers, though.
I have like 77. That's fine. 100 or whatever. No, but it's with the Facebook. Those messages. There's that weird inbox that the people that aren't your friends go to.
Yeah.
But it's always like, I randomly check it because then I feel bad. Like,
What if?
can you come to Kenya to do this thing? Or can you come to Kiev and do this thing? And so email would be so much better. But every couple months or so, I check that box to make sure that I haven't.
Every couple months, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you caught me on.
I caught you on a good, because you responded pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those things where I was going through that weird inbox that things that you don't see, and that I had actually the timing seemed, I guess, right, and then we connected on email, which is my normal situation.
Yeah.
That was the
professional world.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, I was very intrigued. I was very impressed by your skill set, your knowledge. So I was like, why not?
And the more we looked into it, the more that we knew we had to make this happen.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
I'm happy you guys are here. You seem really cool, and
we're so stoked to be here.
Yeah.
So, Jillian, #1 bar in the world. What does that mean? How is that graded?
Well, there are two different kind of
metrics.
Yeah, I guess. So there's Tales of the Cocktail, and then there's World's 50 Best. They both use slightly similar but slightly different systems of judging. There's more judges for 50 Best, obviously, because it's a bigger
organization.
Thing. I don't know if it's bigger, but there's more judges there, so it's 450 something judges,
and they're all worldwide, right?
Right, and so they're all by region. So there's like a certain amount in Asia, a certain amount in Europe, a certain amount in the States, and then that's divvied up by state, and then there's Latin America. So it's all, it's hard because there's not in Canada also there's not as many judges in certain countries, and so that gets complicated. So it's not, there's no perfect system to these things.
Right.
But the people that organize this stuff do the best that they can to put the judging panel together to be fair as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's no perfect system, and there's no way to do it. And everybody thinks that well, I'm the best. Well, I'm the best.
So, but how do they grade? Do they come in here? Do you know that?
You have to, if you're a judge, you have to have gone to the bar to actually vote on them. So if you've never been to bar X, you can't vote on bar X. But I mean, I'm sure people do because they see social media and their friends said it was great. But they really try to, they try to pick people that would have the integrity to follow the rules.
Is there a little politics involved to that?
Absolutely. It's always politics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of and same with James Beard and stuff like that. Yeah. It's oh, well, they've been nominated for this amount of years, so they deserve to win. But it's right, and then you're thinking but they're not relevant anymore. Why are they why and everybody will talk their smack and blah, blah, blah. But people are going to judge the way that they feel it should be. I think that you should be judging in the sense that this is you're voting on a category and it's the most relevant of this year. I don't think that it should be because they've
been there for 10 years doing a bang up job
because they haven't won yet.
Let's throw them a bone.
Throw them a bone. But then there's the other side of the spectrum where there are people there are bars and people that have been doing things consistently amazing and have never won or have never been recognized, right. And you're just but this bar's been here for 12 years and they're still they're still killing it, they're still the best. Right. Why aren't they being recognized in top 50? And that kind of and I've worked at some of those places. It kind of sucks. You're but we're still top of our game. We're still there. We're still but it's always
it's political.
What's the new cool thing? What's the most?
I was saying to him last night. It's not really even. if you, like the best stay the best, right? They're like, all right, people are tired of seeing the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. You see
I know.
what I'm saying?
I'm from Massachusetts.
See, they're tired of seeing the new.
We know they're good.
Exactly. We want to see a new team. We want to see a new thriving.
But why don't you recognize the fact that they are staying on top?
Yeah,
you know?
That's not cool. Like,
And it's like that. That's
It's
right there.
frustrating.
It's like and I think when you get to the top and to stay there is more impressive than to actually get there. And that's something, we just like as far as
Could you share with us some of your like the awards that you have won here? Like the
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward.
We're not asking you to toot your own horn. It's a fact that you guys have
these
won
are
awards here.
facts,
This is an award-winning bar. It's considered one of the best bars in the world.
I mean, like we take pride in that, but at the end of the day, we come to work just wanting to be like adhere to our standards, to up our standards, to hold our staff to that standards, and for them to really want to be here. And that's the biggest award for us is that we have a great work environment, and that we our business does well. Like that's at the end of the day, happy employees and a healthy business. But as far as awards go, yes, those have helped us achieve the things I just spoke about. So it's World's Best Bar. We've won from Tales of the Cocktail, and also World's 50 Best in 2015 and 2016. Best Bar in North America. We've got World's Best Cocktail Menu twice.
That's amazing.
2013 and 2015.
some of those belong to you, right?
The 2015 one was my first menu that I oversaw here at
That's
Dead
amazing.
Rabbit.
That's
That's
really
fucking cool.
I love it. It's my baby.
That's crazy.
But no, I mean it's not a one pony show. It's
absolutely.
a team
Yeah.
effort very much, and what goes in with the designer, the copywriter, also like Sean and Jack, and then our bar team with the cocktails. So it's very much a team effort.
Just real quick, you said Sean. For people who don't know, who's Sean and Jack?
So Sean Muldoon and Jack McGarry are the operating owners and like managing partners, or what, I don't know, whatever. It's, I guess, the same thing. But they are the two guys that are responsible for opening up the Dead Rabbit alongside a handful of investors. But they're really the faces.
Pretty visionary guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely say the visionaries of the bar. Jack won, International Bartender of the Year
That's
at a
crazy.
very young age.
That's
24
wow.
years old.
That's impressive.
Just moved to the States, so that's one of our plates up there.
Nice.
I always joke with them that I put it in the back of the shelf. And
Yeah.
So we talked about awards, and you said a couple of things that are interesting because we wanted to get there. You win all these awards, but it's all about maintaining standard, and it isn't all about awards.
No,
isn't
it
all
isn't.
about.
It's really not.
And
Never
people,
should be.
People in the public will be like, "Oh, they're not.
They
winning.
didn't win that award
They didn't
this
win
year.
anymore. They were only
Number 10.
10
Yeah.
this year. They're not shit anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we got
that's not-
16. That was a bit. That
Oh,
was a bit
sorry.
of a blow.
But-
Yeah, I did see that.
But
Yeah,
it happens,
16.
it
Yeah,
happens.
hey.
in
can't-
a world with, you couldn't even count how many bars there are.
I saw an estimate of how many bars, right? In the United States, there's roughly about 700,000 bars. And at one point, you guys were number one. And that's just on the grading scale, right?
Yeah.
From being like, I mean, it's just
To try to put that to try to quantify that
yeah.
is
Imagine
it's a little
being
mind bending.
the top one or top 10 out of 700. That's like less than 1 percentile. Like that's the top 99 percentile.
So it's not all about awards. And you mentioned a word that's a big keyword for me that stands out: relevancy.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that, like that fight to stay relevant
Absolutely. I mean, the bar game has definitely changed a lot.
from year to year? Would
Yeah,
you would even
absolutely.
say?
I mean, I think with technology, social media, culinary advances, like all these things, like the bar world has definitely changed. And also,
Infusions and all these
well,
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, just like in education, and
Oh,
also
absolutely.
education would be another one. So I think all these factors that go in, like, are relevant, and how much are we utilizing all these things?
Mm-hmm.
A bar that is still just, serving up classics and pouring beer and just having good fun, like, fine. But are you going to be 50 best bars? No,
No.
you're not. Are you educating your bar staff on spirits and all this stuff? Are you allowing them a good work-life balance? Are you talking about social issues? Are you talking about... There's so many things that go into it, that how our industry has changed. And I think it's how bars and bar operators, bar managers, general managers, whatever, how we're all dealing with it and how we're all embracing it or not, is really a make or break for bars, because we're all now in a limelight if we want to be, but it's all these little things that come together that make relevance in the bar industry right now.
Is it cutthroat?
I don't think so. I mean, we put the most pressure on ourselves.
Yeah. Worst critics. Yeah.
Yeah, we're our own worst critics, exactly. And that comes from having, a group of people that are really passionate about what they do. We're all insane motherfuckers. Like, let's get real.
I mean, let's be real.
Please be as real as possible.
I'm an absolute lunatic.
Yeah.
So we push each other to
higher standards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's
and
go. Let's fucking go.
Being called out by each other is important.
And that's part of the process, right? That's part of the building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's where you guys get that grit and determination to survive a fire.
Yeah.
And open during a hurricane, which is what happened.
Yeah, I wasn't with the team at that point. I was still at my former job, Death & Co., but I came on board a little after a year and some change of them being open. But yeah, I mean, I just remember, being in the industry and hearing about these guys come over, and they actually lived in the East Village, so they come into the bar a lot, where I started to meet them and get to know them a little bit.
And this was Death & Co.?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I didn't know who they were when they were coming in until maybe a long while after. And actually, Jax told me some funny stories of some things he saw me do behind the bar, and I maybe won't get into that.
Oh. He was like, I saw you.
No, he's like, I saw you and your bar manager fighting behind the bar. And I was like, no. I'm like, well, okay. So I'd known them for a bit before coming on board.
So I want to talk a little bit about R&D.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about R&D for the cocktails and, the unique... Well, I guess I should say this first. We actually came here last night. We came here.
Yeah.
We did a tour of some of the best bars in the world.
We did like a little recon.
We came here. We did a little undercover boss thing, and I'm not gonna lie, dude.
Sneaky.
It's top notch. I've been to a lot of
Oh,
bars.
thank you. I was here.
Top.
Did you see me?
No, we must have just missed you. We asked about we
were
asked
up
around.
here in the parlor with Shane. Shane's awesome.
Shane's a
he's
stud.
lovely. He's our newest bartender.
Really
Love
cool
that
dude. Like
we took pictures
really good
with him,
care of
dude.
us.
Yeah, it was really cool.
He made
That's
me undercover cop.
You gotta say it in a Boston accent. Undercover co-op.
It's an undercover co-op.
Undercover co-op.
Yeah. This is not a
I haven't done an accent in a while on the show.
Yeah,
there you go, guys. There's a little throwback for you.
Are terrible. But no, I was really mesmerized by just the attention to detail when I came in here. The customer service. Everybody, if you do hear about Dead Rabbit, they think world's best bar. People think immediately to cocktail list, wine list, anything like that. No. The customer service here was
World fucking class.
World class. Like, I felt like I was a VIP.
We walked out and we were
but
like,
I'm just,
holy
it was
shit.
just really impressive. And not just one person or the host, or it was everyone.
And you guys have curated that down
on the
to a
same
fine
page.
diamond tip, and that's
Thanks,
that's
guys.
awesome.
But
No,
here's
our
the thing. It
team's
wasn't like a
amazing.
machine. Everyone had
No.
their own
It's
personalities.
genuine. It's
Yeah,
genuine.
It's genuine, but everyone knows.
And that's what it's about.
Really,
And because we're like, what is it? Best bar. You have a killer cocktail. Maybe your bartender's a dick, but they're like, oh, but this place is so cool. Like it's so trendy and shit. And it's like, no, dude, this is like really steeped into the very DNA, embedded into the very DNA of the concept. From everything from the storyline that you guys do to the cocktails to just how
the
everything
overall
shimmers and
experience
glows.
and the ambiance, the heritage, everything.
And that's what a great bar is all about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's like that balance of decor, lighting, music, the personalities of the bar staff. They're knowledgeable, like how knowledgeable they are. So it's just, we really do try to tick all the boxes, and it's not we as managers are thinking about that all the time, but it's really hiring the right people that actually want to be part of that.
Sure.
And that really want to be here.
Because it's dogged, you have to have a special sort of thing.
So go ahead and get into
Anyways,
some
can you
research
tell
and
us about
development.
the R&D and how you guys build the list?
So For research and development, which is what R&D means for those of you that don't know that, our R&D process is like some others. I really learned this kind of style of R&D through my time at Death & Co. And we've taken, obviously, kind of changed things or evolved things as it goes. Our whole team our whole bar team is part of it. We do a wireframe, which means kind of like a spreadsheet of, and I'm actually sending this out to the staff today because I'm a little late on it. But
She looks at her invisible watch on her wrist, running out of time.
No. So basically, it's a wireframe of how I want the menu to look. So it would be the styles of drinks, the base spirits of drinks, how many of those, how many vodka drinks, how many gin drinks, how many whiskey, Irish whiskey, Scott, whatever. Maybe the styles of the drinks. It could even be as detailed as the types of ice, the types of glassware, and then giving just a little bit of suggestions for the types of flavors. So things that are maybe hyper seasonal.
Okay.
You're not going to have blood orange on a menu in the summer. So there's certain brand relationships that I'd like to keep or that I'm really excited about. So those will also be suggested or they'll be mandatory. So all those things, as the staff will be able to see it, and as we fill in the menu through each R&D that we'll do over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, we'll do one a week. As those start to fill in, those would be color coded, as if they're.
How do you select glassware?
Well, the glassware thing,
that's always been a myth or a mystery to me.
Glassware
Why?
is such a challenge because you have to. I think we have great glassware, but
you have elegant, great glassware.
But people are catching up in the sense that now a lot once that glassware starts to become more popular, then you see a lot of people using it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, now I don't want to use it anymore.
So because they're copying my shit.
Yeah.
No,
now
not
you're
necessarily.
ruining my shit.
No, not necessarily, but just things become trendy and things.
Absolutely,
whatever.
And that's one thing that everybody should look for when you go to somebody's like, oh, we got to check out this cocktail bar. Okay, let's check it out. Check out that glassware though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see what the glassware comes in because that shit
Well,
is really important.
They're
dude.
clear ice. They're everything.
The ice is important too.
Crushed ice.
I mean, everything is important. The attention to detail is ridiculous.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what I got from that is basically your entire bar staff is given
a skeleton,
and they give you drinks, right?
Right. So we all sit down. So then we have a scheduled session that everybody comes in. The bar's set up, and they present their drinks, and we taste them and we talk about them. We maybe reiterate them a few times with some suggestions. And we try to, okay, this is, we're happy with this. Or after 3 or 4 times, if we're not happy with it and we can't all agree on something, or I'm not feeling it, all right, either this is go back to the drawing board completely, or these are some suggestions and let's try this again next week. I don't want to sit there with one drink, with one person, with a group of 10 to 12 people, and it gets too complicated.
Yeah,
it's
it's
if this
much.
isn't working, then
forever.
you need to go back.
Move on.
And we need to move on.
Yeah.
So, and also you're just going to be there all day. And then at some point in the process, you even forget what the drink's supposed to be like. So you're just all right, bank that, moving on, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And, we only do 2.5 to 3 hour sessions for palate fatigue. And also, again, you kind of forget, what you're doing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, with wine too. People are drinking so much red. I'm like,
wine,
you need to
dude.
take a break from all this red wine, and you need to drink some white, or you should open up with the white.
Yeah, I mean, with cocktails, it's tasting spirits you can do for a little bit longer, or maybe even wine a bit longer. But when you have citrus involved, it really is messes up your palate a lot.
You got to restart.
And it's just an acid reflux and all that. So you're just so you're saying. I think 3 hours when you're talking about tasting things with citrus and all different types of things
and even that's a pretty long time. I mean, think about tasting for 3 hours. That's laughing matter, dude. That's a lot.
I mean, I would definitely suggest spit as much as you can.
Yeah.
Sure.
And also, drinking water and having something to eat in between.
Mm-hmm.
So those are, but R&D, that's kind of how our sessions go. And then as it builds, You slowly but surely start to fill in your menu. And then,
Take
of course, we have like another notebook for Evernote is a pretty commonly used app on your phone that a lot of bars are using these days. Yeah. And it's great we have a developmental notebook and everybody puts their recipes in there. So like on my computer, I'm looking at the spec while they're making it. So I can visualize
really cool.
it because before I'm like, okay, what's the spec again? Okay, what's the spec again?
Can you send it to me again?
Okay, what's the spec again?
Yeah.
And then you're like, because you're focusing on the taste, you're focusing on what they're doing, and you're talking amongst yourselves. I just have it in front of my face. I'm like, okay, why don't we try this? And everybody has it on their phone or their computer, like while we're looking at it. So you're not focusing on, what was it again? What was it again?
Yeah.
So that's a great.
Yeah.
And so this way too, between the wireframe and the Evernote and like color coding things on what people are working with on the wireframe, you're seeing that, okay, you're not being redundant. Like, okay, well, Melissa wants to work on a Irish whiskey sour with blah, blah, blah. Then that means Nick isn't going to go and do the same idea.
It's redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you see, okay, well, Nick can see that Melissa's working on this thing that was kind of something he was thinking about. Maybe they can collaborate and do something together.
So it seems like it's like a team effort. Everybody's helping each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh, this is a
It's
terrible
not like,
cocktail.
Jimmy's
This is
cocktail fucking sucks.
yeah. It's okay. This is like I suggest this to balance out the sweetness or the the citrusness.
That level of respect.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I look at it and I said I pick what goes on the menu, and then I put it into that wireframe and make sure that it flows right in accordance with how the menu's laid out.
That's really cool.
Her word is the one that gets burned into the
Oh
stone.
no! But yeah, so like once I put the menu together, then Jack and I will go through because we work really well together on the drinks we have for a long time. So it's really great that just him and I can just sit down and blow through all the drinks, and then we can make minor adjustments, and it's just easy for us to do
That's
that.
crazy.
So you guys break it down, build it back up.
Yeah.
Break it down, build it back up.
Right, and then once
constantly
Jack and I
evolving
sign off
and-
on the menu, then we put it into like a manual of sorts that we can give to the staff to study from, and then we'll do a tasting of the finalized drinks for all the servings, the serving staff, so that they can start to learn the drinks before we do the menu flip. And then the menu flip, you have to get that organized by doing the mise en place map and get all the labels done and make sure that you're like depleting items that you're not going to use and then building up the items you are going to use.
Wow.
Our prep guy needs to get all the specs for all the syrups and the infusions, any batches and bizzes and all. So it's a huge process. Yeah.
So I've noticed that none of
Yeah,
the cocktails I
last
really
night.
saw had any garnishes.
None of the cocktails.
Guys
So
are
we're
not
Some of
big
them have,
on
but-
garnishes.
And when I mean garnish,
Nutmeg.
So nutmeg,
Nutmeg,
yeah.
dude, what
If
is
you don't know what goes on it, throw some nutmeg on
throw
it.
nutmeg on it
Yeah, it's kind of our MO here, nutmeg. We pretty much employ Indonesia.
because of the
Yeah.
nutmeg.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something that we've been, I don't know if you'd say called out on, but nutmeg is definitely something that would have been a very long time ago. Nutmeg was a sign of wealth. It would have been maybe as sought after as gold.
Okay.
In the spice trade. So it's just very aromatic. It's a very complex spice, and it looks pretty.
But there's no other garnish like
We use citrus oils and we use nutmeg and mint
that's
if
it.
if it calls.
I've seen
for it,
mint, yeah.
Mint, mint for
Is
like
that
if you get a mojito or something
for
like that. Kim's Cup.
streamline purposes because you guys don't really believe that a great cocktail needs a garnish.
I believe everything should be in the
Speaks for
glass.
itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. If it doesn't add to the flavor or smell of a cocktail, I don't believe garnish should be there. I am truly annoyed when I go to a bar that is extravagant garnish. It's wasteful and
Yes.
not sustainable, but also it's just plain annoying.
It
Like
is.
I don't
That's
want to have shit all over my hands. I don't want sticky stuff on my face. I don't want like my
I want
like
to drink this.
I don't want
drink.
my bar area where I'm sitting to be covered in like shit.
I gotta pull out a fucking pineapple leaf.
Yeah, because they get really like.
I don't want something sticking in my eye. I don't
Yeah.
want something like I don't want a citrus peel like in my
micro
mouth. and then you
tweezed
have to spit it
flowers
out.
in there,
Yeah,
like
I don't
like
want-
a
yeah.
like a like a tabla rasa
So
on there, like
to
some
each their
portrait
own.
tableau.
I am not talking
Yeah,
smack
we're not-
about
we're not-
anybody
we're not
else.
talking
shit
But
either.
for
We're
me
just saying.
personally,
Just saying.
and like, please don't hope anybody listening isn't getting mad. But
No.
for me, like being annoyed is like the worst mood. Like if I would rather.
I just saw her say that, and I was like,
she's
damn.
annoyed right now.
Yeah,
She's like,
I'm
thinking
annoyed about
it.
thinking
It's
about
like,
being annoyed.
oh.
So,
I'm annoyed right
Jillian
now
Bose,
for being
man.
annoyed.
and my mom was like, "Oh, Jill's annoyed. Like, forget about it. It's just
Yeah.
not happening." So, being annoyed for me is my worst possible mood, and things like
Garnishes
that.
can be annoying.
Garnishes annoy me.
Okay. Especially when they don't, like, let's be honest. The drink you get will be mediocre, and the garnish is extravagant.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, putting this right on Instagram. You drink the drink, and you're like, man, that was mediocre at best,
Yes.
and it cost me $20.
Yeah.
But
And
I
that-
have
got
a
a sick
lilac
photo.
I have a lilac in my
Yeah,
drink.
and a lot of
Yeah.
people see it, and it's that kind of like Instagrammable thing, or
Yes,
you're like,
sexy to
"Ooh,
the
what's
eye."
that?
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah.
What we're trying to achieve is through the colors of drinks, through the styles of drinks, through the glasswares, through the ice. We're trying to do that. We definitely do notice that, especially in Europe, they're doing some really cool stuff with glassware. So our next menu, we're looking into doing kind of like perfect serves, where each drink has its own glassware.
Each one on the new cocktail?
Yeah.
Like each one's going to have a different...
I mean, at least every 2 drinks will have their own glassware, but it'll be different drinks. Like, so there might be an egg white sour in a drink, but in one glass. And then if we're utilizing another glass, that we're maybe doing it like a stirred on the rocks in the same glass. So everything looks very different from each other.
Got it.
Right now.
They'll be distinguishable. They'll be...
Exactly.
You'll be able to,
exactly.
that's the
So
bubble.
like we're like
That's
getting
the
a lot of
Foxy
glass.
lady. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean we have till September to do this, but we're already getting
Who
glassware
puts the
staples.
deadlines? You do? Or is
We
it-
try to do everything in 6 months with all the fire and the extensions and all that stuff. We actually kind of are now pushed back to doing things September instead of August.
Okay.
And then March instead of February. But it's also, we had a new design company that, this last time that it took a little longer to get the menus printed. So, we're not going to pay all this money to have a menu on
Right.
for 5 months. We need to have a full 6 months.
Exactly.
So
and
we've-
that's funny you brought up the menu. Can you talk about that? Just the artwork in the menu.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's just the narrative, the story, the progress of the story reads into the cocktails. Like, could you go over that a little bit?
So the story and the artwork comes well before the actual cocktails come to life. So Sean is really
So you paint the story first.
exactly.
So in the actual menu, the graphic like story mode,
Which
thing,
I'm a huge fan of.
which I'm absolutely a huge fan of. She said they build the story first before they make the
Yes.
like the cocktails. The story
Oh,
is made
wow.
first. So yeah, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry
So
about
with the menus, I wouldn't have much to do with it other than like saying, "Oh, that looks great," or suggest something, whatever. But Sean really is a visionary of these menus as far as the story goes, and he works very closely with Jack and I kind of involved, just kind of just not overseeing, but just being able to see what's going on. But he would work very closely with our copywriter who's in Belfast. Connor Kelly, he's amazing. He pretty much anything that like speaks Dead Rabbit, our social media, our latest book, Barley to Blarney, Mixology and Mayhem, which just like the one I actually was part of. He really is that. He puts all of our jumbo
all together.
Yeah.
He brings it all together.
jumbled words and
Yeah,
puts
yeah,
them
yeah.
together into something
That's
that
it.
And
sounds
creates a
cool.
storyline.
That's like me. I get all these. I'm like, blah, blah, and he just
Yeah.
creates it down.
Yeah, we're talking about the grammar and the
Exactly,
the
yeah.
Facebook messages. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's Connor for us. So that would be Sean working with Connor and working with whatever artists that we're working with. Our comic book series was Mark Rehel, who's based in Belfast as well, and he's so amazing. Our last menu, our current menu, Darkland, was made by I Love Dust, which is based in London.
We saw that on
I
the
saw
back.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is so.
Yeah, if you look at their
fucking
Instagram, it's
cool.
pretty incredible.
So awesome. Dude.
So we're looking into what we're going to do for our next menu, design wise, and
Can you throw us a little hint?
I mean, we're going to continue the Darkland story, but we're not exactly sure what's going to happen.
Who writes the story?
Really, it's kind of between the artist, like the design
Sean.
company and the art and whatever artists, with the copywriter and Sean that really put this all together. So Sean will be like, I have this idea. I want it to kind of look like this. Connor will put it together, and the artist will make it happen and give input back and forth. So there's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's continuing the story of John Morrissey, who was the leader of the Dead Rabbit Gang in the mid 1800s, and in our comic book series, which was a 6 comic series over 3 years, it was this John Morrissey persona, but it was like half rabbit, half man, and he had this moral code. It was kind of like a badass Robin Hood type deal. And I mean, but it was 100 years after the death of John Morrissey that we reincarnated him back into New York City during the 1970s. But there is truth to the story and like what he was like, but also what was going on in the 1970s. So you had, all this shit happening in Midtown and like Hell's Kitchen, the drug abuse, prostitution, like what, like all these like bars that actually existed. You're talking about like things that were really going on, and you're bringing this whole thing to life. It's kind of cool.
There's a deep history to tap into, but you guys bring it together in this cool like sci-fi graphic novel.
It's so good.
It's an alternate reality, right?
I want that menu.
I
would love to have
we'll try to
for
buy
sure.
one
Before you go, we'll get you one
Absolutely.
of those. Our new menu, Darkland, with this new design company, we want it to look and feel very differently. We want different colors. The other one was more like red, black, white.
Sin City.
I saw. Yeah, it was different. The color
This
schemes
new
are a lot
one
different.
is like really parallel universe.
A lot of purple too.
Yeah, purple, red, black, and it's actually kind of more like a prequel to the comic book. So we're talking about the story of how the rabbit came about, why he's immortal. So there's an even bigger boss.
Is so trippy.
Yeah, so there's
this.
an even bigger boss, and basically they own the rabbit's soul, and
It's deep.
That's what I was reading in the book.
They basically capture the rabbit. The end of the series of the comic book, he leaves Dead Rabbit after having a whiskey. It starts with him walking into a bar, asking for whiskey, and gets American whiskey. He asks for Irish. And at the end, he walks into to the Dead Rabbit bar and is served by one of our bartenders. Like he goes, whiskey, Irish, and he actually gets his Irish whiskey, has his drink, and he walks out. And then in Darkland, he's walking down the street and he actually gets captured by this underground, and then you start to read into how it all started.
It's
kinda
trippy,
cool.
dude.
Yeah.
It's really
Trippy shit. I love it.
So they basically like own his soul, and they basically at the end of it like we have a war for you. So they're basically proposing like if you want to stay immortal, you need to do this war for, but we don't know what that is yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the hiring process here? Like, how many applications do you guys get?
I cannot take credit for a lot of the hiring here. Our director of operations would do that. I would be a little bit more involved with any of the parlor bartending staff, especially that we have a very high retention. So we don't have like very little turnover. It's only that we have expanded significantly. Is that why we've had to hire so many people lately?
Longevity here.
Exactly. Yeah. And really with the bartenders, really on all floors, they stay for a very long time. I think the very least it's a year and a half, 2 years. I've had people here that have been here since we opened, but 3 years is
So what you're saying is people know, so they don't even apply? Is what
No, we do. I mean, so like when we were expanding, we use like culinary agents and things like that we put an ad up on. And then our induction process and hiring process, we've definitely worked on, along with a learning management system for our education and
aspect of it,
and everything. Like, so that's been this has been a something that we've been working on for about 2 years now. Mostly Jack and our education director, Greg Buda, has been working on this very in-depthly. The questions that you ask when you're putting an ad out, And then our director of operations would basically look over the responses to how people respond to the questions that we ask. And then they would basically say, okay, this person
It's like a psychological
took the time.
test.
This person, it's how they respond. It's like how much time they took to respond, all that kind of stuff. So from there, like for instance, for when we were expanding our parlor and our tap room, we had like 700 applicants, whittled down to 50, whittled down to like about 30. So that's insane.
700.
And that's insane. Like,
So how did you narrow that down?
Kudos to the lady had to do that, Jessica. But
Wow.
yeah, it's insane. So again, I rather stick with the beverage at beverage scenarios as
Yeah, stay away
my
from that
role
side.
is beverage
Yeah.
director for a
But-
reason. But
Yeah, exactly. How would you rate yourself as a bartender?
it's kind of my happy place. I don't get to. I still do have a scheduled shift or two,
Here and
and
there.
I do pick up. But as a bartender, like, I don't know. I guess that's a weird question to ask. It's not a weird question to ask, but
Well, okay,
I like being in the zone. I like being efficient. I like. And when you have that shift where you just nail it, where you're just like you're nailing it,
Yeah,
just
you're in
everything's
your flow,
flowing,
your
you're in your
rhythm.
zone, you're having
Yeah.
a good time, like you have great guests.
Yeah.
Nobody's waiting too long for cocktails, and you're just have a bit of your own personal style involved. Like I don't know, like your cuts are right.
What would you say your strength is? Your biggest strength?
I think
you're behind the
as a
bar.
bartender, I think my biggest strength is balancing efficiency, like technique type things
Oh, yeah.
with hospitality. I think having a bit of fun,
While maximizing efficiency.
and I think that's
Okay.
making people feel good, making people feel welcome and at home, and also like showing that what we have to offer as like a technically skilled and knowledgeable bartender. And that's what we try to achieve, I think, with all of our bartenders, is that they can do those things. It's that balance of technique, making good drinks, which comes with technique,
And efficiency,
also being
yeah.
fun to like watch.
Oh yeah. It's part of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of the show. I mean, it is. You're on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
People that are just robots that behind the bar, and
Terrible.
it's not fun to watch. But people that have a little bit of like style, and there's certain bartenders that have more style than others. I wouldn't be the most flary bartender at all,
Me neither.
but I get shit done, and I'm very fast and I'm very clean, and people notice that. I don't know. I think
There. That's what I needed. Got it.
So when somebody asks you what your greatest strength is, the next question soon to follow is what's your greatest flaw, and I think that leads seamlessly into today's prompt, and which is this: failure is a wicked but necessary bitch. It's about as necessary as sunlight or water, and it certainly plays into some alternate inverse of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Tell us about a time when failure struck your career and it looked like Mayan doom had clocked your number for the last time.
Okay, only one time, huh? All right, so yeah, I mean, with the success of the bar, and obviously my resume is pretty good.
Stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
but-
impressive.
It all seems like kind
Pretty
of
intimidating.
sunshine and roses, but the true reality is that I think in any industry and in anyone's career that we get to a point where we fuck up, and it really is a reality check. And I think we all make choices, and our choices affect other people. And I think that being conscious of that at all times is extremely important. And there was a time recently, actually, that I didn't have my shit together as much as I would have liked, because I didn't delegate, and because my job grew significantly in as far as responsibilities and tasks. And instead of asking for help, and instead of acknowledging the fact that I was overwhelmed and that not sleeping is like kind of not a cool thing to do, I let my team down. And I think, we flipped all of our menus at the same time, and that's 9 bar stations.
What does that mean to flip a menu?
So when you're flipping a menu, you're basically reorganizing your mise en place, just like you would in a kitchen when you change a menu. you have all different ingredients. You have as far as syrups, as far as infusions, as far as bitters, as far as product in general of
They all
spirits.
change.
So when you make new drinks, you need to put in all these new, you need to take out the old and put in the new. So this is a huge undertaking. And you're like ordering cheater bottles, you're ordering of all different types and sizes. You're making sure you have all the equipment you need, labels, like to relabel everything. And when you're talking 9 bar stations of some like beasts of stations, it's a lot of work involved. So me thinking that I could do this without maybe having some help, well, whilst expanding the bar at the same time in the bar that we're sitting in, was really dumb.
You really thought you were going to do all that by yourself?
Yeah.
9 stations.
So it really took the staff to come together, and like, yeah, they were like, I'm usually pretty organized and have all this stuff done. So their expectations of me were not met. And so I really just...
Because you took on too great of a load.
I didn't delegate. I took on too much, and I think that's my biggest fault is that, and I know my bosses will say the same. I always say yes to things or I'll give myself a deadline that I should maybe give myself a couple extra days. So it's just kind of like one of those things where...
So you want to come hang out with us after this? Yes. You can't say no.
No.
Yeah, so you have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you
and
feel
I
like
think...
it'll let somebody down.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
then in reality, you're actually letting more people down when you overextend yourself or don't give yourself
Because
enough
you're
time.
now giving them a promise. You're like, yes, I got you.
And then you
I'll
become
do that.
unreliable.
Then
and
you become unreliable.
And so
Exactly.
that's like feeling that way is the worst feeling in the world.
Did you catch some heat for not...
You caught some serious smoke.
Yeah, I
For
think
not
I think
flipping
just from
properly?
like how I felt the staff felt after that week of like, it was an insane week, and I will give myself a little bit of wiggle room there, but I let my staff down, and I felt like I let myself down. So it was it's not a good feeling, and the only way to kind of move on from that is...
I was going to say, yeah, how did you bounce back from that?
I mean, there was some changes for sure, and I think that for me, I'm constantly working on just being as reliable as you can and doing what you say.
Or just being honest with yourself. You just know you
Yeah.
can't take that that full load on, and you
Yeah.
need to delegate it out. Yeah, I agree.
And even with this new menu, I'm just like giving ourselves a little bit more time so that what happened like with the last menu doesn't happen again, and that everybody feels like everybody is more involved, and that we can have a more successful launch of the next menu, and also just in our structure as a bar as a whole. And so, but listening to your staff and then delivering, like obviously, you're not going to do every single thing that, we're up to open. We're open to listen to feedback or
Transparent.
whatever. Yeah, very transparent. But we're open to suggestions. But as a management team, like we will consider things and whatnot. But we want the team to feel like everybody's part of the process of growth and of evolving into, we're not going to just do things just to do things. Like if somebody has a great idea, to listen to them and be open-minded.
Oh, absolutely.
And the bar's evolved significantly since we opened. Like it's the same bar, but it's different. Like the way that we do things is very different. Like this went from a mom and pop show
to a world
to
class
basically a machine, and like we're all learning along the way.
Absolutely.
None of us have managed or ran a bar of this caliber and style or size, and also then like opening up another bar, Blacktail, with that's a huge thing. Like
Which was
when you go
fantastic.
from opening one bar to another bar and then you expand significantly, it's like opening up another bar when you
Oh yeah,
expand.
and it's a different bar.
Yeah. So
it's not
it's
even the
just
same cocktails. It's different.
so it's kind of crazy. So you have to be prepared to have the systems in place to be able to handle that. And when you've never done it before, you're just like, okay, we're learning, but we're being as organized as we can, and it takes a lot of time.
Did you have a moment where you were like, I fucked up? You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, all the
Dur-
time.
No, do you mean during that?
Yeah.
I was I worked so many hours and I was so tired.
Yeah.
And I you think that you can go to bed at 5 and wake up at 9, and you just can't. And
It's so bad for you.
being late, yeah. Oh fuck, I slept in. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like that's like totally not cool.
Once again, unreliable. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of like where it comes down to. It's like, yeah.
You started sleeping in. You start, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
you're like, I can't
Missing a
function.
point. Yeah.
Like I cannot function with this much. So like, if I was ever to do this again, I would definitely insist that it got spread out a little bit more, and that we allowed ourselves a little more time, and divvied up the tasks a little better.
A little bit better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mental health is so
Very
important.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
the
definitely
most
is. I mean, we're a
important.
huge advocate for that, but like,
Gets down to crunch time and shit. You gotta
just
shake
gotta-
and move. It's like
Yeah.
sink or swim. Be a problem solver. If it means throwing yourself completely into the issue, that's what you got to do. But there could be consequences. There
Yeah.
could be fallout.
And this kind of can correlate. This question I have for you. The motto of the customer service industry is the guest is always right. Right? The guest is always right.
yes.
What is your viewpoint on that dangerous ideology?
Well,
What we would consider a dangerous ideology.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that that's what you consider,
No.
but I think him and I
think
consider.
the customer is always right is a dangerous ideology. Like, where do you draw the line?
okay. Well, I think that you want to give the best experience to a guest as possible. But if there's a guest that is jeopardizing that for everybody else in the room, then you need to leave. If somebody is being disrespectful to a member of staff or another person that's in the bar, if they're like possibly dangerous or obnoxious, if they're overserved.
Do you cut people off?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we overserve people. I'm saying like if somebody's out of line, we'll do
You will be escorted.
No, not. I mean, but I mean, we'll deal with it in the most responsible and respectful way that we can. But if you're falling asleep at the bar or you're swaying, if you can't speak right, like we'll catch you at the door. But there's weird things happen. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what somebody like.
if they're
you
taking
could-
pills and like they
right, like
have one
you
drink.
could have. I could serve somebody one drink and like
Next thing you know, they're like that.
I'm like, what the heck like happened to you?
Yeah.
They could have done something in the bathroom or taken a pill, like
Exactly.
you said. Like you don't know. Like stuff like this happens all the time. Like you could be the best bar in the world, and this stuff is going to happen. It's,
Absolutely.
You can't control every person that's in your bar, so it's important that the bartenders and servers and doormen, maitre d's, the manager, everybody know like how to pick these things out.
What if a guest is just being downright disrespectful?
To a bartender. Just downright, just out of nowhere. Just like, hey, dude,
I mean, if somebody's being disrespectful,
do you put it this way? Do you have your bartenders' backs no matter what they say? Are you like, if the bartender's like, look, dude, this guy's being really disrespectful, I don't feel comfortable, are you like, all right, they got to go? Or do you...
yeah, I'll go over and talk to them, or like the other manager will go talk to them, and we'll figure out a way to deal with it. But it's case by case. You just like
Yeah, you're right.
it's kind of hard to say like how you deal with a situation like that, because everything's different. Like if this person is being like disrespectful in a way of like
But you're not,
derogatory in any way or whatever.
but you're not going to take the guest's point of view. You're not going to take their side just because you don't want it to hurt your business.
No, I mean no. I mean no.
Like if
the
they're
end of the day,
if they're clearly in the wrong and
Yeah.
they're being, hazing on your bartender or whatever, throwing super shade, just not being downright disrespectful and being mean to your people. You're not going to turn your backs and be like, well, we just need to let him do his thing. Let him
Because they're a
berate you
customer.
because
I
they
mean-
pay to come here.
No, I mean honestly, we don't really have this type of problem. I mean, it's obviously we're a high volume bar, and there's a lot of different types of people that come in here from
Personalities and
all
like
over.
I mean all over like
motives. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think that the bartenders are really good at handling situations.
Awesome.
And it doesn't really come to the point of a manager getting involved unless it's really bad. But
And at that point, it's...
And at that point, it's like they know that like, okay, like I can't handle this, or I need somebody that's another person to handle it. They could probably handle it and whatever, but sometimes people want to talk to a manager. But it usually is that they are not understanding our policies of like we're a seated only room in the parlor, so sometimes people get upset that they can't have another person join them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You guys are
So,
very
but that's
strict on
why
the
we
numbers.
have.
You
That's
cannot
why.
stand.
So like you can't stand, and that's the beauty of it. We have a pub downstairs that you can do that.
If you want to do that,
if you
go
want to
do
be
that.
up here, your party has to be complete. You'll have a seated experience, and that's the beauty and the charm of the parlor.
That's why he didn't let
So-
me upstairs.
So
Got it.
So if you start to question our policies and you don't understand it, then you just don't really understand what we're about, because that's the whole beauty of that room, and that's why it's special, and that's why we have a whole other part of the bar for you to be in if you don't want that experience. And our doorman will explain that to you when you come up. Like, okay, you're a party of 4. Are you expecting anybody else? Simple answer: yes or no. If you say yes, well. Just so you know, we'll do our best to accommodate any joiners. However, we are on a wait right now, and you would have to be basically leave, come back on the list. If you're a 4 top and you're then going to be a 5, you need a much larger table. You can't just squeeze in because it's a very tight space.
I see.
You jeopardize the enjoyment of the
So
room
you're
for
saying
everybody else. If
You're not going to let a guest dictate to you, basically, right? You have your guys' set standards, right?
We'll do the best we can to accommodate. If it's a slow night and there's a joiner, great. If we can't do it, we can't do it. And that's just the bottom line. And some people don't understand that.
And they don't.
But it's just like, why can't they come up? Like, there's room, I can squeeze. You're like, but then you're
'Cause
like,
we've
you're on top of this
curated this
person
certain
here.
Jeopardizing the experience of another
Yeah.
human
Exactly.
being.
Like,
okay?
This has all been very thought out.
We've been doing this for a long time, guys.
Exactly.
It
Look-
creates more problems if this happens than if you don't.
There's a reason we're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Like-
we didn't just arbitrarily make this
Yeah, we didn't
rule
just
with
make
20
this up
seats at
on
the
the
bar,
whim, yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Like,
this isn't.
This isn't like we just pulled
Just
this out
make
of my
this shit
ass.
up.
Like yeah.
So I think it's it happens in people, well, do you know who I am, or blah, 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 or,
God.
things like that happen. But
and
I'm
then
saying,
you
like,
should say, "Do you know who I am?"
no. So listen, shit happens, and
Right,
people
right.
are people, and it is what it is. We like to think that we deal with things in the most fair and
And
respectful
you said,
way
yeah.
that we can. And there's some people that don't understand, and we'll just agree to disagree, I guess.
There you go.
And
But,
you guys
we-
totally are fair. I mean, we went out and smoked a cig, and they put my drink in the freezer to keep
She-
it
the dude was
cold.
like, Hold on, dude. I got.
He was
you."
like,
I
yeah, hold it. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
It's the little
Stud.
things, bro.
I know, it's
Yeah,
the
the
little
guy-
things.
Our gals and guys are great.
Yeah.
I love them very much.
Outside of Dead Rabbit, where do you go? What's your number one spot?
Well,
It doesn't actually. It doesn't have to be. You want to do it in New York City, or just anywhere?
Sure, anywhere.
Yeah. Where's a bar you're like, damn,
That's a
I could go
sick
here
bar.
every day. And this is no shade at Dead Rabbit. You guys are amazing. Just,
no, I mean, yeah, I definitely spend more time in this bar than any.
Oh, of course.
Death and Co is still really close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, I live in the neighborhood. So as far as if I'm looking for a cocktail or to see some old friends, just even especially if I'm by myself,
Yeah.
that's still, I think, knocking out some of the best drinks in the city.
Death and Co. Wow.
As my old stomping grounds.
Yeah. There you go.
It still has a big place in my heart.
The home.
Yep. As far as your Cheers,
Yeah.
would be Basic in Brooklyn. I was just there last night.
Basic in Brooklyn. All right.
A good friend of mine owns it. Him and his wife live right upstairs, and
That's sweet.
it's kind of like you always walk in and have a friend, whoever's bartending, or there'll be somebody that sitting at the bar.
Cool.
I don't live in that neighborhood anymore, but I used to, and that's kind of it's like our the homie
You feel comfortable.
congregation.
It's it's home. It's comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
hangout. Yeah. What do you drink?
So I don't really drink cocktails when I go out.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like I spot check cocktails all the time. When I'm on a research trip, like if I go to another city,
Yeah.
I'll drink cocktails. But when I'm in New York or I'm home,
What do you
I'm
drink?
typically drinking wine, cider, and neat spirits. So I drink Irish whiskey or brandy, apple brandy,
You like
Calvados.
Calvados?
Yeah.
That's my shit. Dude. All right. When I drank, that was my
Yeah.
shit. I
So
love Calvados.
anything apple stuff and Irish
Yes.
whiskey. I like brandies a lot in general. But yeah, cognac, Armagnac, American brandies, fruit brandies,
You like the
Calvados, but Irish whiskey and brandy
Boy,
category.
bees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like I'll drink.
What kind of wine? What kind of wine do you?
I like really dry white. I like really full, medium bodied reds. So you're talking about
Cabs. You like big cabs?
I like cabs.
Syrahs.
Not really Syrahs, but like I like Bordeaux.
Okay.
I like
yeah.
Super Tuscans.
Oh, yeah.
I like.
Do you like Brunellos and Valpolicellos and all that good
Yes.
stuff? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Barolos, yes.
Brunello.
And then for white wine, I like Loire Valley kind of stuff, like Old World, like dry white Chablis.
Yeah.
and
Loire Valley is so good.
Sancerres.
Sounds good right
Or the
now.
Omedoc region. Yeah.
Well, Jillian,
Yeah. That was,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the journey to New York City, and it's
Yeah,
really
that
great
was-
to meet you guys.
it was a really good
You're really
experience.
fun to talk to, and
Thank you.
I hope all the listeners enjoyed. And please come to the Dead Rabbit and have some drinks.
By yours truly,
Yeah.
Jillian Bose.
Yeah, for sure. Thank
Maybe
you very
she'll be
much.
bartending that night.
Maybe.
Yeah, just quick shout out. Yeah, Jillian Bose, it was awesome. You guys
been
are
real.
you guys really are world class. You guys are really talented. You're impressive. It's really humbling to be here. So anybody listening, you need to, if you're in the New York City area, you need to go to Dead Rabbit
For real.
and ask for Jillian. If she's not, she's a busy person. So
I'm
Very
usually
busy.
here running around or behind the bar.
At least
so.
just say hi to me. Yeah, exactly. But you definitely, this should be bucket list. You need to come here. Even
Definitely.
if you don't like cocktails, even just come and see.
You
the
don't have to have
experience.
cocktails.
Yeah,
We have great
just come,
food and
do great food.
mocktails
Just
and
come see the-
coffee
just
and-
come
Have the experience.
Have the experience.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Come
you
witness the
will not
storyline.
be let down. I promise that. From my experience, I mean.
Well, yeah, we'll see you then.
All right,
Cheers.
Dave.
All right, guys. Well, we're wrapping it up and putting a bow on it this evening. It's been great and it's been real. Once again, thanks for having us, Jillian. Just
you.
want to say, stay frosty, stay sharp, but above all else,
Stay intangible.
This show was written and produced by David McFarland and Tyler Skidge. Special thanks to our editor, Charlie Ross. If you want to stay in the loop and not miss out on when the next adventure is happening, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Intangible Adventures, and subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you have an extra moment, please rate us and review us. We would love to hear your feedback about what you think about our show. You can also email us directly at secretrecipe@intangibleadventures.com. As always, thank you for joining us on our latest Intangible Adventures, and we'll see you guys next time.